Hi, I'm Cassidy.
And I'm Lindsay.
Welcome to the Marikai podcast. Marikai is a Greek word that means the act of doing something with soul, creativity, or love, to put something of yourself into your work.
This podcast is for fellow photographers to encourage, inspire, and build community in the photography industry
with an ultimate goal to reflect Christ through our words and businesses.
We are inviting you into our weekly coffee dates where we talk all about our hot takes, interview other creatives who inspire us, and share our hearts with you.
Our coffee will be bold, and probably our conversations too. So pour yourself a cup, get cozy, and join us for this week's episode.
You have the superior spatula in this relationship. I'm not
literally going your hand.
Okay, I actually started recording. So,
okay.
Hello. Welcome back to the Marikai podcast. We have missed you guys. Just Cassie and I just talking. Last week was so fun talking with Catherine and interviewing her. But we're so excited for this coffee talk episode because it's actually our first coffee talk episode. Because the first coffee talk episode was our intros. So this is really the first time we're fully unleashed.
Yeah, and we're starting off with a really, I don't want to say intense one, but a definitely more serious, not sad.
A needed conversation.
Needed.
A heart-to-heart.
Yes. When we said that we started this podcast with the intention of just sharing our hearts with you guys, that's very much what this episode is going to be. I don't think we have answers or tips in this episode, but it is very much going to be a raw, sharing of our hearts behind something I'm sure a lot of photographers can relate to, though.
It's the real. We're the realists today.
It's going to be the real today.
Yeah. So before we start talking all about creativity and burnout is the hot topic. First, we want to talk about our coffee today because it is our coffee talk. And today we're meeting at my cottage. So I brewed Cassidy and I up a nice little cup of coffee. So our coffee beans today are from Taste and See Coffee. My friend Abigail, I actually grew up with her. She went to the same church that I did. Growing up, she has the cutest little coffee roaster in the entire world. It's just a little tabletop one, and she is slinging some really good coffee beans. And she has such a beautiful heart behind her business. It's very small right now, but she is taking orders, so we'll put her information in the bio if you want to support her mission. Definitely check her out. She is the sweetest. So we are drinking her coffee today, and I'm excited about it.
I had one sip, and it's already so good. And I love when you pulled out her bag, because it's just this brown paper bag, but she hand wrote and drew her logo on it, and she has cute little handwriting. It's really cute.
So cute. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
You can see her heart behind it for sure.
Yeah. So dream too, to literally be running your own coffee business from your house.
Yeah.
What?
Yes. Yeah, so her dreams for the future is I think she would eventually like to have her own coffee shop. But right now she's going around Colorado Springs is where she's based out of, Colorado Springs, Colorado. And she's going around and reviewing local coffee shops. So if you guys are traveling to Colorado anytime soon, check her out because she knows what good coffee tastes like. And she's reviewing all the coffee shops for now. That's roasting coffee. So
yay, love that for her.
Super cool. Yeah. So that's what we're drinking today. Hopefully you cannot hear my stomach rumbling in our spatula mics.
We posted on our Instagram, if you guys are following us there, a picture of us recording literally right now, and we're using mics that are clipped onto wooden spatulas
to avoid sound.
Yes.
We're learning. We're learning a lot with this podcast. We were joking actually earlier that if we knew how much technical stuff went into starting a podcast, I guess we would have still done it, but it was a lot more than we bargained for because neither of us are techies, and we would not be here without Cassidy's husband, Caden. Big shout out to Caden because, oh my gosh, there's so much to figure out. So we're learning a lot along the way. We're trying out better quality mics.
This is our third mic that we're trying. Did you realize that?
Oh my word.
These
This
are the
is so true.
third rounds of mic tries.
Yeah,
Trials.
because like we want to like just truly make this podcast like a blessing. We're trying not to like spend too much money on it, so that we don't feel like we have to make money from the podcast, because that's not our heart in it.
No. You will not hear ads here.
We're trying to get like cheaper mics, so we're trying to find good quality.
Yeah, and also trying not for me to be obnoxiously loud, because that happens, and you quiet. And me mumbling and all the things.
I mumble too, so I'm working on my pronunciation.
Yeah.
We also realize that because Cassie and I like think very similar, sometimes we will understand what the other one is saying while we're saying it, and we know that we know what each other are talking about, so then we just stop. We do not finish our sentence or our thought that we were talking about, because we're like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, but you guys don't know what we're talking about. So we're learning that. Oh, we're also learning not to like verbally affirm each other constantly. What do you call it?
Yummies.
Verbal yummies?
Yeah. Well, normally I say spiritual yummies, because normally it's like in church or something.
Right.
Someone's preaching and someone beside you going like, yes, amen, amen. That's spiritual yummies.
Spiritual yummies. I actually love that. But yeah, we're trying not to do that here, just because you don't need to hear that.
No, we're learning. But if you've been with us from the beginning, thank you.
Yes, we really, really appreciate like every single one of you listening. And
putting up with our amateurness.
Yeah, we do a little party every single time we see that we have like a view, and it's actually like going so much better than I anticipated.
No, same. Hi everyone listening.
Yeah,
we were not expecting you guys to be here.
Thanks for
being here.
Our little space. It's actually just crazy that people want to listen to what we have to say.
Yeah, except for today's episode, I feel like this is for sure the one to listen to, because I just feel like if I was in photography, I would want to hear a podcast talking about the creativity burnout.
In real freaking life.
Literally in the midst of burnout. Lindsay is more burnout than I am, but I'm in recovery from burnout. She's currently in burnout. So
finding recovery.
So yeah, we're here. We're here for the realness.
Luckily, I already got all my tears out before we started recording, so my 2 tears, that's my limit for the week.
We were talking a little bit about life, and you did start crying, and I got really sad for you.
So we already got that out of the way. Don't make me cry again. Don't look at me. So we already got that out of the way. So I think to properly share about our burnout, I think we each need to kind of back up and kind of catch everybody up on what life has looked like for each of us the last month or so. So Cassie, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So my month of July, end of June into July, was honestly pretty good, because I set myself a break in July this year where I was like purposely not going to take any weddings, engagement session, literally nothing that I'm shooting. I knew I was going to have a lot of editing to catch up on though from May and June, even April. I only delivered some April weddings in July, in the very beginning of July. So yeah, I knew that was going to be a thing. Last year I did 5 weddings in July, and I just knew that was not what I wanted to do.
5 hot July weddings.
Yes. Oof. Yes, because July is a long month. It has 31 days. So
yeah, you learned that the hard way.
It was 5 weekends, so 5 Saturdays in July. So I had a wedding every Saturday. Learned the hard way. Didn't want to do that for myself, which is a huge part of how this business has been going for me from the beginning. Has been a lot of learning the hard way of boundaries specifically.
Well, that's just a small business. That's any small business owner.
Yeah. But. Yeah. So this July, the end of June, my brother got married. You, associate, shot that wedding for me.
Wow, that feels like that was 5 years ago.
That was just a couple weeks ago.
See, that show. Y'all. Okay. That's wild.
Rip. Yeah, Jessica. So he got married, and then literally the next day, I left for a family vacation to the beach. So I got to just enjoy laying out literally in the sunshine and soaking in the salty breeze. My favorite place is the beach. So did that for like a week, came home. I did shoot one wedding that first weekend of July because I just didn't, count it, whatever.
Sure.
And then, I've had the rest of the month off since then. So it's been good because I was so burnt out from April. May and June felt like 3 months of nonstop. So I really needed this July. So I've been doing pretty good. Just editing like crazy and trying to honestly plan some things for 2025 for my couples. So it's
so
been
cool.
really fun though. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So how do you feel like you recovered from your burnout from like April and May? Like what are some steps that you feel like you took that really helped in that?
Yeah, I actually set a timer, like that thing that you can do on your phone where you set a limit on your apps. I actually like implemented that in July. So
that's awesome.
2-hour a day limit on all my social media apps combined.
Okay.
Which is like, 2 hours sounds like honestly, that is a decent amount of your day every day to give to social media. And sometimes I hit the limit like at 9 a.m. because of like work. I'm on it for work. And then sometimes I don't hit it till like 9 p.m. And I'm like, I did so good today. So
yeah, I have an hour and a half for my Instagram.
That's so short. But honestly,
it's not very.
That's still so much of your day to be on.
I actually hate it when I hit it. Some days I don't hit it and I'm like, that was a good day. That means I was like either working really hard or like with people that I wasn't even thinking about my phone.
Yeah.
That's my goal. But I hate when I hit it earlier than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like so much of our job. Like if I could just not be on Instagram, I 100% would.
Same.
I have been on Instagram since Instagram launched. Like in I don't even know what year that was, but since
early 2000s,
like the OG original icon, like I had Instagram. It was the first social media app my mom let me get because it was more like creative and like photo focused at least at that time. And so that was cool.
Yeah, it is like such a double edged because here's the other thing that this is why it helped me with my burnout recovery, like limiting my time on it, because this is going to feed into so much that we want to talk about. But I found myself like, because my algorithm has completely changed to only show me like other photographers all the time, it's like I'm just constantly being flooded with work that is like celebrity level and unachievable in a way, like it feels. So it's like I'm constantly being drowned out by all this talent and beauty that it makes like my creativity feel so stunted. And like I just feel like I am the worst photographer in the world because my photos are not anything like these on my Instagram feed that I see everywhere. And so the more like scrolling through Instagram never gives me inspiration. It just gives me burnout.
Yeah.
So
being I would say
is helping.
The ratio of inspiration versus burnout is not worth it.
No.
Or versus like inspiration versus comparison. Yes. It would be more like it. Yeah.
But if I limit my time on it, then I like only have a certain amount of time to like answer my DMs and look at like I see more of my friends' posts because I haven't been on it for like Instagram like knows if you're on it, because then if the more you're on it, the more they start showing you like pages you don't follow and ads and stuff. But then my phone like knows to catch me up on my actual followers if I'm off of it for like 18 hours or whatever.
It's literally mind control. Okay, crazy. I'm not going down that path. But also, do you ever sometimes I utilize the following, like they updated it. So if you click on the Instagram icon on the top left corner, you can go to just the people you're following, and Instagram will only show pages that you are following.
Yeah.
And then there's also the favorites. And so I've like favorited like photographers who are local, who like truly inspire me. And sometimes when I'm just looking for like some inspiration or to hype up people that I know and love actually, I go to that. So then it weeds out everything else. It weeds out the distractions too, because then like they have threads on there and they have like real suggestions on there, and then it's so easy to just like watch one and then like scroll forever.
Yeah.
So I do that sometimes on Instagram to really help me actually be productive on Instagram.
Yeah. That's actually so good.
Little pro tip.
That is a huge pro tip.
I think a lot of people have forgotten about it. Everyone was talking about it when it first came out. Like, this is the greatest idea. Add me as your favorite or whatever. And I think people forgot about it, but it's still there.
I forgot about it.
Yeah.
TBH.
Yeah. Still there. Please favorite us. No, just kidding. Favorite whoever the heck you want. But if we're there,
yay,
we will love you. Just kidding. I love that.
Yeah. Okay. What about you? Catch us up on your month.
So the other day, 3 or 4 times, I told someone it's June, or like referenced that it's the month of June, not July. One of those was during a consultation call.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily, I wasn't referring to her wedding day, because like that I feel like would make a client nervous. Like, this girl has no reference for time. I don't know what I was talking about, but I said the month of June, and I was like, oh wait, it is July, isn't it? She laughed. Luckily, I think it was okay. But that kind of just shows like how much my June was. So my June was honestly the most wild month I've ever had, I think. And I don't know how it happened. I was hosting for almost 3 full weeks of the month of June. I had people at my house. So I was hosting, 2.5 weeks about total. I was hosting, family time. My sister and her family came and visited Sam and I from Colorado, and so that was so much fun. And that took a lot of like my energy, took a lot of me outside of work, because I am a huge proponent of fully being with family when I'm with family, if at all possible. I was able to work a few days during their visit, but it was a lot of family time. And then a week before that, I was also hosting. And then right after my family left, I think I had like 1 normal week, but it went so fast. In that week, I published my wedding guide, which I'm obsessed with, and I'm so glad that I finished it, but that took a lot. And then the next week I went on Sam's family vacation, so I also had a family vacation in there. It was camping, so it wasn't like laying on a beach relaxing, but I love being in nature.
Your version of the beach.
It was a good like recharge, although it was cut short by a triple header wedding weekend. Your brother's wedding was one of them.
3.
And it was ironically in the record-breaking heat wave of June. So I had 3 weddings that weekend. I'm never going to do triple header again. No. I had never done it. And I will never again. I'm just realizing.
I like barely survived double headers, so.
Yeah, like you said before, like you don't know your limit until you experience it. And I think as small business owners, we do sometimes have to learn the hard way. Like, I know people say don't do triple headers, but you know, sometimes like I do a double header, I'm like, oh, I'm still good. I could do 1 more, until you actually do it. And the heat was a factor.
The heat's a huge factor.
So, but I still don't think I'll ever do that again.
It wipes you so much.
I do truthfully feel like I could give creatively. Why can't I say that word?
I don't even know what you're trying to say.
I could like creatively give to each wedding. Like, I do really feel like I was able to do that. Also, the one in the middle.
My brother's wedding.
Cute. It was fun. It was easy because I was also had you there and like fueling off of your excitement of being and celebrating with your family. It was like so easy to capture and inspiring for me to capture. A lot of people were
praying for you too.
Yes. So many. I mean, your people were praying for me. My people were praying for me. Instagram people were praying for me. It was honestly like that was felt for sure. But yeah, so I had a triple header, and then that next Tuesday, so 2 days later, I flew to Colorado to spend time with my family. And so I was in Colorado for 8 days, had a big, huge family celebration during that time, which was so beautiful. It was so great to see family, but it was busy. So everything in my June was like awesome, but so busy. It
is so hard when you're busy with good things.
Yes, because you can't stop it. You can't stop the great things from happening. Heck no was I going to miss any of those things.
Yeah.
But it also had a lot of fallout.
Yep.
So we attached our Colorado trip to going to Washington State for a week as well. So we flew straight from Denver to Seattle, and Sam and I had our Washington trip. I did a session there, so that's why we were going, but then we turned it into a trip, and it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't as relaxing as we wanted it to be. And so actually we were there until like the first week of July, and got back, and I still pretty much felt burnt out. I was like so relying on that trip to be super relaxing. It was pretty stressful too. And so the whole month of June, my hair was falling out because of stress and overwhelm, because it was like a lot of good things, but it was also taking me away from work. So like I was behind on responding to inquiries. I was getting behind on editing, and I hold myself to an unholy standard. And I know this is just ingrained in me. I am like drawn to like the Enneagram, and like understanding that, and that helped me really understand myself. I am an Enneagram 1, which is very self-critical, and I always knew that about myself before I even knew about the Enneagram, but like very self-critical and perfectionistic. And I think that it was just a combination of being too busy to keep up, but then at the same exact time not giving myself any grace for being that busy, and still holding myself to a standard that is physically impossible with everything that I was going to. And it just got me in a really bad headspace of just spiraling.
Yeah.
So I'm still working through it. Still working on saying no to more things than I'm saying yes to. I also have a really slow July and August. And the whole year I was asking God, like, why? Because in the past I've always booked out July and August, and that He doesn't really bother me. But I was like, always like, why? Like, why are you not giving me weddings at this time? Like, I try my absolute hardest to have this kind of mutual understanding that the Lord is completely responsible for my schedule. He's the one who sends me the right clients. And He is the one who, he helps me take the breaks that I don't even need. And so the whole year I was like, I want to book more July and August. I even ran a sale to try to book more. Like, I even was taking money off my packages, which is never recommended. And I still didn't. And so I'm like, I was kind of like a little frustrated for a while, but now I'm so thankful that I did not have July and August weddings. Like, God truly knows the best.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, and I know you and I had talked about it. We're like, is something happening in July and August? Because neither of us have any weddings.
Yeah, we did drown.
And what was happening was we both needed to recover.
Oh yeah, big time.
And so I haven't really used my July to recover. I'm so stubborn.
I'm literally reading, part of my, I didn't mention this, but part of my like July of rest, I got a devotional through the Daily Grace Co. Highly, we should drop their link in the description, because they have the best Bible study resources, and they're like pretty cheap. And they're beautiful. They have one literally on rest.
Yes, I've actually been doing that one.
Yeah, okay. They have a new one. It's only 30 days, and you do a page a day. And it's called Breaking Free from Busyness.
I'm ordering that today.
Literally, you should.
For my August.
Yeah, and this is the sad thing, is it's 30 days. I intended to start at July 1st and go through, and I have been so bad with it. Like, I'm not in it every day. It's so short and simple, but I think it's okay that I'm going slow. This is another, like, God thing, because honestly, I'm on, like, 3 pages in. It has been so convicting, which is what I need. Like, I need it to hurt, like,
right,
how I've prioritized life, like, wrong, or just what the effects of being busy are, because our culture normalizes busyness
and
as
celebrates
a good thing, celebrates it, especially as a business owner. And so it's like revealing what in your life, especially your relationship with the Lord, is like the first thing to like take a hit when you're too busy, and then your relationships with people, and like it's very eye-opening to like, well, what are the side effects of your busyness causing in your life? And it's
holy cow, I need to read this book.
Prepare for the conviction.
I'm so ready for it. I need a big slap in the face.
No, literally, me too. I'm the same. Like the stubbornness, like you were saying. Like,
yeah.
It's just what I needed though. And I think it's okay that I'm going slow because I'm like still thinking about how like it even talked about like each day was a different area of your life that your busyness can affect, and one of them was your health. But it's very personal. Like it gets you to reflect on like your physical health, your personal relationships with people really close to you. How are those suffering? How is your like relationship with the Lord suffering like because of your busyness? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Okay, we're dropping the link to this book in
and it was like
the show notes.
It was like $5. It's beautiful. It's designed so beautifully.
I love that. And they're like really theologically sound as well. And it's very like they always have like Bible references. At least the rest one is. Does this like have you read a chapter in the Bible before the devotional and then they have the devotional?
No, but it's broken into like 3 or 4 different parts, and cool. I'm just in the part right now where it's more like personal reflection to get you like kind of seeing how busy you are and why that's bad. Yeah. And then the next section I'm sure will be like more scripturally based.
Ordering today.
Send you the link.
That's great. Yeah. So that was my month. And I think I still have 12 weddings this year
left to shoot. I was counting. I don't know what came over me, but I was like, I should see how close I am to shooting 100 weddings. Like, have I shot 100 weddings yet? Because I've only been doing this for 2 years. Yeah. That would be a lot of weddings.
Yeah, have you?
No, but I'm close, and by the end of the year, I'll be at 80.
Yeah. I have never added it up. I'm sure I've shot over 100.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
I've been photographing weddings for 6 years, so.
Yeah, you definitely have. I guarantee it.
But I do not take as many as you do because they take more from me because I'm an introvert.
Yeah, that's true.
So, so that's something that we also are going to be talking about. So a few things that we're going to be talking about, kind of based on this kind of conversation is, clouded mindsets, like having a really just clouded mindset and just clouded brain. I struggle with clouded brain. We're also going to be touching on self-criticism. This is something that I touched on a little bit, but have been going through, and I actually opened it up to my my close friends on Instagram, which my close friends are all the photographers that I know, and so many other people struggle with it, and it was so good to like have real freaking conversations, because people talk about not self-criticism, they talk about
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, imposter syndrome. That's it. Yeah. They talk about imposter syndrome a lot, and self-criticism is different than that. So we're definitely going to be talking about that a little bit. And then the pressure to always being creative and always creating fresh things.
Which is very much on my heart. Like, that was my burnout, like, symptom, was, like, this pressure to, like, every time I show up to a wedding or a session, I have to give them my best. But, like, how is that even possible? What does that even mean? Because no one can perform at 100% all the time. But when you're, like, delivering, when your job is your creativity and to deliver creativity to someone, it just gets so tricky with, like, I want to give them my best, but this is my 8th session this week. Like,
and it's so personal, too. Like, we are giving our heart and souls to these things, to this couple, to this shoot, and we can't always do that.
We'll talk way more about that.
And then also what we're gonna really hammer home with is the fact that us as creatives are always telling our clients to be living in the moment. Like, be fully in the moment, don't be stressed, don't pay attention to the camera, just be you. Create space for that. While we are being stressed, burned out, multitasking all the time, like, as creatives, we do not give ourselves that kind of grace, or we do not give ourselves that kind of space as creatives. Meanwhile, we're telling our couples to be that.
Yeah, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, like when we were talking about the location scouting. Like, if we show up stressed, like our couples vibe off of our energy. So.
Yeah, we're like, have a drink before your session so you're not stressed. Meanwhile, we show up like sweaty
Frazzled
because we are just like thinking of our to-do list for the whole hour drive. Like,
yeah, or like already comparing this session to another or something. Like I've done that.
Yeah,
where I'm like, this session isn't going to be as good because blah blah blah.
Oh my word. Yeah, so let's start at the top.
Rewind.
Speaking of, well, this is tied perfectly.
No, literally.
Clouded mindset.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so like how do we experience, what is a clouded mindset? How are we experiencing our own clouded mindsets and what do we do about it? Kind of thing. Yeah, I feel like I actually don't even know how to jump in, honestly.
So
Maybe you start.
Something that I have been noticing about myself, and this is one of the key signs that I am really not doing well and experiencing burnout, is I will literally forget like what I'm doing, what I'm saying, or I'll like repeat the same thing. Like, and it's scary sometimes. Sam's like, are you doing okay? Like mentally? And it's just that I have so much just like shoved in my brain. I think about like a little mouse nest. You know how they just like grab all these scraps from literally everywhere.
That's cute though.
And just pack it into a little ball.
Yeah. That's your brain.
That's my brain. That's what my brain feels like. And so like I literally like will say the complete wrong word and not even realize, like June. Like saying June when it's July. I did that 3 times in that one day and didn't realize it until like the other person was like, what? It's July, Lindsay, don't you know this? That's how clouded mindset looks like for me when I'm like really burnt out. And then also just what also happens in my mind is just really not being able to combat that self-criticism that I go through, and like always feeling like I need to get so much done because I'm burned out, because I'm behind, and also not feeling like I can rest at the same time. And it's like a little battle all the time.
Okay, similarly, well, actually, I don't know if you know this, but short-term memory loss, like you're describing too, is like a sign of depression, which I feel like might be similar to like creative burnout.
I think it can be along similar lines.
Yeah.
Well, and
like
it comes.
It a form?
I think it comes like, with depression.
I was gonna say, is it literally like a form of depression? It might be. I feel like my clouded mindset takes root in like my inability to be like fully present with people, which maybe as like an extrovert like hits me really hard because I like might hang out with someone, whether it's my husband or I'm thinking of like the times I tried to like invest in college students when crew was still happening, because that was half the reason for my burnout, was because I had an insane amount of weddings in April. I traveled to the Dominican and Charleston in April, and crew was still going on. So that was a lot. And I would try and like meet with a girl to talk about the Bible or something. And my mind, I just can't focus on what the person is saying. And I can't like be physically present. I can't give them my all. And like as an extrovert, that like makes me more sad because I'll walk away and I'll know that I was not giving them the best of myself and like my full presence. I was so distracted, and then I'll feel so guilty. Like, dang, I wish I could just have been there for them. Or maybe they'll say something and then a week later, I literally can't remember. Like, they might have shared something really deep with me and then I can't even remember what they said. And then I feel horrible that, like, they'll be like, oh, yeah, remember how I told you about blah, blah, blah? And I'd be like, I literally don't remember that, which is horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. I seriously do the same thing. Like, clients. Like, I'm like,
yeah,
I genuinely do not like remember what you
really
do for
wish
work.
I could remember what you said.
Sometimes, yeah.
And then I feel so self-centered.
Right, but it's actually kind of the opposite. I mean, yeah, it can be selfish to be continually adding things to your schedule, but it's like because we want to do so much. Like, at least, I guess maybe I tell myself that it's because I want to do so much for my clients, but I think the root of it is pride.
There you go. This is the devotional I'm going through.
Yeah, the root of it is like, at least for me, I can't speak for you, but I think the root of it is for me control and pride. Like, I have to have my hands on everything in my life, and I also like I think I kind of inherited this from my family. Thanks, Mom and Dad. If you're listening, I love you. But like being productive, always being having something gone.
Same way. My family is the family of busyness.
Yes, like always having something on the schedule.
Yeah.
Like always being productive. If you're not being productive, just be productive.
Yeah.
It was what was ingrained in me.
Just be productive. There is no if you're not.
Right, because it doesn't exist. You are productive. And I definitely know that was not intentional. And I know that they are also, like, they realize that now, and they are working on it. And I'm so proud of them. And I'm working on it. We're all working on it as a family. And I'm sure your family, like, do you feel like your family realizes it?
Yeah, I actually remember one time bringing home a book for my dad to read called Crazy Busy, which is another, like, Christian book about busyness versus rest. Like, why rest is, like, the way that, like, we were created for rest, but why we fight so hard against it. But, no, I wanted to say something about when you were saying, like, I think the root of a lot of my busyness is pride, despite what I, like try and write it off as being.
Yeah, tell yourself to make you feel better.
Yeah, but also, like, self-criticism is also a form of, maybe not pride, but, like, okay, there's this book, teeny tiny little book. It's really not like a full book. It's more like I don't even know what to call it, but it's by Timothy Keller. Do you know who Timothy Keller is?
I think.
He's like big. He's a big author, Christian author.
Okay.
I think he's a pastor too. I think he recently passed away as well. But he's written incredible things, and he wrote this little thing called The Freedom of Self-Forgetfulness, which is like, you can be so thinking about yourself all the time, and it can take root in a prideful way where you think really highly of yourself and you're very, like, bold and, like, braggy, but being all self-consumed can also take root in criticism and thinking very low thoughts of yourself as well. But you're still, like, both of those are still, like, you're just thinking about yourself all the time. So his whole book is about, like humility and being humble whenever isn't necessarily about thinking less, like, lowly of yourself, but thinking of yourself, like, less often, like, not even thinking, which is, like, the freedom in that is that it feels like a burden has been lifted when you're just not even, like, being self-consumed. So I feel like,
wow, I love that.
It's really powerful stuff, honestly. But
it's a good thing for me to hear. No,
literally, especially that helps me in burnout, because I think burnout literally equals self-criticism and guilt and despair and, like, all these sad things that if you're just thinking about, it's like going back to, like, thinking about myself all the time, especially when I'm, like, hanging out with people and all I can think about is the work I'm not doing that I should be doing right now, instead of being fully present with that person. But what I'm doing is I'm still thinking about myself, even though I'm thinking about myself in bad ways, like I'm putting myself down in my head, but I'm still being self-centered. So it's like, get your mind off of your problems and yourself and think about actually think about other people instead of, like, thinking about yourself.
Yeah. And I think, like, really, truly, the actual only answer to actually accomplishing what you're saying is giving your time to the Lord.
Rest. It's rest.
It's rest.
Resting.
And giving your time to the Lord.
Yeah.
Like, I can see such a difference in how my day goes if I actually take the time to do devotions in the morning and pray.
Yep.
And have a time of gratitude is also a huge one that I'm finding is, like, actually taking time to, like, be thankful.
Yep.
Is the opposite of, I don't know, like, everything else, honestly. Is taking time to be grateful with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, without the Lord, I genuinely have no idea what the answer would be. There wouldn't be actually an answer long term. You know, yeah, you can try all these things. You can start working out. You can try taking supplements. You can, don't worry. I tried all the things in my own power, but, like, even just this conversation is such a good reminder that, like, literally nothing else matters besides being with the Lord and living in the rest that only He provides.
Exactly. And being in His Word, because I still think it's different, like, just going on a nature walk to clear your mind, like, that's cool. That will do a little bit to help you, but again, to get your mind off of yourself, like you need to be in God's word and like renewing your mind on the things of God, joy, love, peace, like patience, all that stuff that you're going to find in scripture, like in his word.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what gets you like, yes, like not all self-consumed anymore, because now you're renewing your mind on the things of God. And that's honestly, that's what shifts your whole mindset. That's what gets rid of that clouded mindset.
Yeah.
And then you can go on a nature walk in the woods when your mind is like on scripture.
Sure.
And
With
then,
God.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because I've tried the nature walk thing. Trust me, that is where I find peace. But if I'm just doing a nature walk with just Lindsay's thinking about her to-do list.
Exactly.
On the nature walk.
Yep.
And that's not helpful.
It's not helpful at all.
Until I find a mushroom, and then I'm thinking about the mushroom. I actually need to go foraging today. It's good weather for foraging.
Oh, yeah. Cloudy, overcast?
Yeah, and we've gotten rain lately.
True.
Yeah. Here for the mushrooms. Yeah, wow. So, honestly, Jesus is the answer to the clouded mindset.
Jesus is the answer for everything.
This whole conversation.
You know that?
Spoiler alert. That's all we're going to talk about, is that Jesus is the answer.
Do you want to hear something else really convicting about this whole topic that I'm learning?
Yeah.
You're like, no.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to get slapped again.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so you know how Jesus offers rest? So it sounds easy. Like we know in our heads that to find true rest is only in Jesus, nothing else. But you think then rest would be so easy. Like, why is rest so hard for people? Like, why do you literally have to fight to have rest in your life? Because rest never just like conveniently falls into your schedule. Like, you need to fight for it. You need to plan for that and resist everything else that's trying to come in the way of your rest, right? So I heard this quote that was like, Jesus says in scripture, like, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And then he says, take my yoke upon you, for my burden is light. Well, the whole thing about that and us and our stubbornness is that like a yoke is literally like that wooden like instrument that ties like two animals to
the oxes.
Yes, two oxes together. So the whole thing is like Jesus is offering us a yoke. And although it might be light, we are so stubborn. We actually are so stubborn in our independence that we don't want to be yoked to anyone or anything. So in order to get the rest, we have to yoke ourselves to Jesus.
We literally have to tie ourselves to Jesus.
Yes. And we're too stubborn. We want to be independent. We don't want to say, we don't want to rely on Jesus in that way. And that's why rest is so hard. Because we're like, I don't need Jesus. You're crying.
Good thing this is not video. So I was trying to look away so I wasn't going to like distract you or make you cry.
I'm going to cry now. It's so convicting. Oh my gosh.
That's so true. Like, to lighten the mood, like, I grew up on, like, my dad has cows. And, like, we just worked cows when we were there this, past, like, month. And, trying to get the cows, like, to listen to you, like, to, like, go in the chute. You're like, stupid cows. Oh my gosh. Like, they have such a freaking pea brain. Like, they won't even go where I'm telling them. Like, obviously it's right in front of them. Like, just go into the cow chute. Like,
literally go straight.
You don't even know what's good for yourself. Just do it. And we're like, oh, it's so easy to be like, oh my gosh, stupid cows. Yeah. We're literally the cows. We are literally.
We need to be yoked. We don't know what we're doing.
Right. And, like, it's so clear. Like, it's so clear to God that we're such idiots. Like, it helps me to think that
He probably God, he's gentle and slow to anger.
Because I wouldn't be. Jeez Louise. That's so good, Cassidy. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Why do we think we could do this without crying?
I know.
After the season that we both have been in.
Yeah, really. But I feel like stuff like that's so helpful, though, to, like, again, like, it's such a kindness of the Lord to open your eyes to stuff like that. Because then all of a sudden it does change your perspective, and you're like, I do want Christ. Like, I do want to admit I'm needy and I'm dependent on him for rest and everything.
And that's when he can truly use you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only when.
And that's the most ironic part of all this is, like, our businesses we glorify the Lord with, but then there's like these areas of like where we're not even obeying the Sabbath, which is like, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Where like God's given us this gift of rest and we're like, I don't need it. But then we're like, but I'm glorifying the Lord by taking this extra wedding. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. No, like that's such a reality check for literally any small business owner who is a believer who is trying to reflect God in our business. Like we have to like be real with ourselves. Like I feel like I sometimes ironically can put my business before the Lord all the time. And it's so ironic because I'm like, thank you so much, Jesus, for like giving me this talent
and like, this client.
Yes. And then I'm like, I like rise up before, like above him. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
We're insane.
We are humans. We have a flesh. None of us are perfect on our own. And again, like really the only answer is literally tying ourselves to the Lord.
And it's so crazy. Yeah, it's just so crazy that he is offering us like exactly what we need. But we're still so stubborn against it.
But it takes action. Like something that I like growing up, like, you know, salvation seems simple. It really is a simple concept. Salvation, following the Lord, living a life full of Jesus is a simple concept. But then, you know, once you're older, you realize, oh, it's not just going to happen automatically. I have to put in work.
Yeah, for sanctification.
No, yeah. Just I have to put in work as far as it's simple work. Like it's literally just giving my heart to the Lord.
Literally surrendering.
But you have to fight for it. Yeah. It's not simple.
Because every morning you wake up and you're back to wanting to live for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a daily surrender.
But that's all he asks us is to work on giving ourselves to him continually. And it's not we have to put in work as far as we have to do all these good things to win Christ. Literally all he's asking us to do is tie ourselves to him.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the hardest.
And he's the most trustworthy. Like he's the most worthy of our surrender.
Yeah.
Like where else better to put your faith?
Yeah.
But we're still like stubborn. Freaking stubborn. I'll be my own in control of my own life.
Yeah. Wow. We got to the first point and we already cried once and yeah, so
okay. I need a sip of coffee.
Yeah. The next little topic is about self-criticism, and we actually kind of pretty much covered this as well, but something that I learned, so yeah, like I said, I opened this kind of conversation up to the creative space last week and had so many good conversations, and I just wanted to say a few things that like people were encouraging me with, and then I kind of then used like combine all the things that I was learning and also the things that people were encouraging me with and helped encourage other photographers with. And it was so beautiful. It was so cool to just kind of create that. Something I realized from that is that we need to be better at being in community as photographers. We need to be more real. Literally, so many of us feel so alone. We're all just sitting around feeling alone, being alone. And so I am going to start working on opening my house maybe once a month to literally any creative who wants to come and just be together. We can bring our laptops if we need to, maybe sometimes not, and just encourage each other and just be together, because Satan would want us to feel isolated, because that's when God's not glorified, is when we're just in with ourselves. So that's something that I learned. And then also something that people were really encouraging with about specifically the self-criticism. Something that someone said, which I really loved, is we have to remember as photographers that like our photos are only beautiful because of the people in them.
Wow.
Right. Like sometimes we get so selfish as photographers, but like really our job is telling the beautiful stories that other people are creating. That's their life.
Yeah, or like
their beautiful relationship,
like
that
the
they
work
created.
that God has done in them.
God, right? That's literally just our job. It's just capturing that, and so being so hard on ourselves for our part of their story is like laughable, but it happens all the time. Literally, almost every photographer struggles with it. But just reminding ourselves as photographers and videographers and just creatives, especially in the wedding space, is it's the people who make the things beautiful. So don't like pick yourself apart for your part in their story.
No, yeah, that's actually so good. Even just like with this whole topic of like how to be creative when you feel burnt out, but like maybe, yeah, like the next time I feel burnt out and I'm going into a session, like to remind myself, like, I'm not there to add any beauty. Really, like I can just hype myself up by telling myself, really, I'm not doing a lot of work. Beauty's already there. I'm just capturing I'm just simply documenting.
Yes, and encouraging that in them.
Yeah.
Like, I think, that's like a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And another thing that was really helpful,
you completely forgot what you were going to say. Was it about, think back to your conversations you were having.
Okay. I have it. Go. Is that, okay, another thing that was really helpful, someone that suggested was to just really, really limit your time on social media, which is something we already talked about. But just really limiting that, because some of it can stem from self-comparison. Also, it's so easy to see like how quote unquote busy everyone else is, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like not doing that. Or like, oh, they're catching up on their emails today, I don't have time to catch up on my emails. Like, oh my gosh, you're such a bad business owner. It's so easy to do that. So just really limiting that. And also something I started doing, which I turned it off when I was traveling, and this is my wake up call to turn it back on. But turning on not only app limits for Instagram, but you can turn it on so like all your apps are turned off until a certain time in the morning. And then they all turn off at a certain time at night.
Oh yeah, I think I do that. Or you can just, is it like the, almost like do not disturb, but it's the sleep setting?
No, like it will literally close out every app. Like when it's on, like I think I had it so it didn't turn back on until 9 a.m. So in like 8 a.m. if I go to like try to go on Instagram, like it's gray. And I can click on it and I can say like ignore. But I would really fight doing that. Literally all apps. You can choose which apps aren't. So like I would have like messages and like certain things that sometimes I would use before that wouldn't be a distraction. But like that just really stops like the doom scrolling and the self-comparison, because for me a lot of that happens in the morning, and I can choose to be on Instagram rather than being in the Word or having a slow morning going on a walk or something. I can just doom scroll on Instagram, and that really starts your day terrible. Mm-hmm. And that really can start the self-criticism. And also late at night, I feel like Satan really uses like the mornings and the nights, because those are such pivotal points in our mind and in our heart, those times of the day.
So good. Yeah, I might do that. Right now what I'm doing is I have like that sleep setting.
Yeah.
So from like 10 p.m. to like I think 8 or 9 a.m. my phone just doesn't get notifications at all, which has been so, honestly, like, again, business boundaries. It is so hard when your phone, and my phone is my business for ministry and for photography. And like, I don't mind having my clients text me or email me. I mean, honestly, every notification is coming through to your phones anyways. But yeah, that's been really helpful for just my mental capacity, like having that like space where my phone isn't getting notified. I used to also like Sabbath from my phone once a week, like completely off my phone. And I always hear everyone be so scared, like, what if something really important happens and no one can get in contact with me? People lived without phones for how long? Like, news will get to you when it needs to get to you. Like,
yeah, that's a good thing, like, to talk about. Like, I also drew the boundary of not shooting on Sundays.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And I drew that the year that I went full time, so in 2020, I knew that for me, if I don't draw this boundary now, I am never going to draw it. And for the first like a year, almost 2 years, I felt so much spiritual warfare for it, because I was just going full time. I really wanted any inquiry that I got, and I felt like 20% of my inquiries were on Sundays.
I remember you telling me this, that like you also would get like your dream inquiry for a Sunday.
Yep. And I just felt like it was constantly like the Lord being like, who are you going to choose? Who are you going to choose?
I love that though.
And I'm so thankful that I had the strength to just choose the Lord.
Yeah.
Choose rest. And I feel like I've been blessed in that. And I still get inquiries on Sundays, but not as much. And it's just an easy no.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so thankful that I do that. Like last Sunday, we did a styled shoot on a Sunday together. And because it wasn't like a real wedding, I was like, let's do it. But I feel like I like didn't like working on a Sunday.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and you have freedom. This is the amazing thing with Jesus being our salvation is like we have freedom,
right,
to like have like we're not bound by the Sabbath.
Exactly.
So you can work on a Sunday if you want to, but yeah, I think the whole heart posture of just again like dedicating to the Lord, like what is His, and like keeping like a Sunday holy because you want to be around your church body that day. Yeah. Is important.
Yeah. At least that's what I felt called to do.
Yeah.
And so I think things like that, setting those kinds of boundaries for ourselves is like really helpful foundationally to help with the self-criticism.
Yeah. I've taken Sunday weddings. Here's the ironic thing is like sometimes these incredibly devout Jesus followers get married on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So, yes. So I've done it for friends who I know that their whole wedding is going to glorify the Lord, and there's going to be like basically a full sermon in their ceremony and worship songs. And like, I know that's totally not the same thing as gathering with the local body of believers that make up your church, but it is like, and I limit them because same thing. That's like what I felt convicted. And again, that's the freedom of like, you do what you feel like the Lord's calling you to with your business. Mine might be slightly different, but similar mindset where I'm like, I do want to be intentional with Sundays.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
with every day, really.
Right. He honors that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next topic we want to talk about is the pressure to be always creative every single session. And I think we kind of just touched on it. Like, I love what we were saying about that the people were what's beautiful. And so really our job is just capturing that.
Yeah.
We are not created to be bottomless pits of work and creativity. Something that I really feel passionate about is kind of mirroring our lives with the seasons. Like, God literally created all of nature to work in a season.
Sorry, my stomach just growled so. I really hope the mic didn't pick that up.
Okay, I'll just say this again.
Can you say that again?
Yeah. God literally designed all of nature to have a season. You know, you look at the trees. In the winter, they're taking a break from growing leaves.
Yes, and I love that.
Yes, like they are still growing in their own ways during the winter. It's not that the trees die.
No, they're just like underground.
They're working on a different part of their life cycle in the winters because they're not growing.
I love the changing of seasons.
Yes, me too.
I love all 4 seasons because I do feel like it is such a reminder of how the Lord created like nature to have seasons of life that are changing.
Exactly.
And purposeful. Each season has its purpose.
And so I'm passionate about like actually making my life mirror that. For us wedding photographers, it's a little easier because there's not a ton of weddings in the winter. So like I think it kind of can naturally happen, but sometimes I also feel like we're called to fight for it too, because like you can take weddings in the winter, or you can like bust your butt and always be having these like studio sessions and stuff like that. But like something I'm really passionate about is taking a season of rest in the winter and using that time to grow in other ways, literally just like the trees. Honestly, I'm just so thankful that he gave us that example because it is such a beautiful sign. And it's also not just like, oh, that's a good example. He literally created us the same way.
No, I think he made nature to work the way to remind us. Like, I think nature's meant to be a reminder to us.
Yes. I mean, and not only he created nature to be like that, he literally was the first person who was the example.
And didn't even need to rest. But
he did not need to rest.
Let me just show you how good this is.
Right. He, from literally day 1, Genesis 1, the day of creation, he rested.
Yeah.
Well, the 7th day, he rested.
Yeah.
He was the first person, and so why do we feel like as his creation, we are meant to be this bottomless pit of creativity, love, joy, everything? Like, we're not.
Right.
So I think the pressure to be constantly creative is something that we should not even like pay attention to.
Yeah.
I
wonder where that pressure comes from, because this is what I struggle with the most when I was burnt out is like just felt really guilty that I would show up to a session like literally dreading it. Like I did not want to be there, which is horrible. Sorry to my clients. I'll never tell you who you were, but
And it's
you know
not
what
because
I
of
mean?
you. It's not because of the client. It's because of your life at that time.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. But it was like, and I don't know if it's back to the comparison on social media, but I felt like all my sessions had to be like unique in some way too. Like, so I'm not feeling like I'm doing the same thing on repeat.
Right.
Which is also an insane pressure on yourself, though, to bring something new to every session. Besides the fact that obviously if you were capturing someone's story, the people are that uniqueness factor.
Exactly. I think it goes back to we are just here to create beauty from the beautiful people who are in front of us.
Right, because every person is unique.
Yeah. And I think it just goes back to giving ourselves grace as creatives. Like, knowing that we should not feel pressure to create something crazy every single session. And I think it's because of social media. Everyone posts the highlights.
Yes. Oh, maybe that's where the pressure comes from.
It is. It really is. Because everyone's always posting the highlights. They're posting their favorite 5 photos that they took at a wedding day. Whereas probably that's not how the whole wedding day went. It's just their favorite 5 photos. You know, I have a comparison sometimes about like the storytelling that other photographers can do, like create, like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love their eye for that moment. And it's like, that was the one picture in the whole gallery that had that moment. You know, so we can't be hard on ourselves like that. I think it is a lot of Instagram.
Yeah.
Social media. Comparison.
Yeah.
Oh, my tattoo is itchy.
Oh, that's not your...
I gotta touch up on this side too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I feel like I wanted to say something else about this topic. What did my notes say?
Give your best every time. Creativity takes time and space.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was gonna say about that though. Well, I'm trying to like put myself back when I was in like that burnout, and like this was such a thing on my heart of like that pressure to be creative all the time was like, it was like, I feel like that was what made my burnout worse too, which is also probably goes back to the self-criticism because I was telling myself like my work isn't creative enough. It was like I would just do like my normal work, but I was telling myself like that wasn't good enough because it's not like my best. Because here's the pressure is like, genuinely, because I love my couples, I want to give them my best all the time. But not a single person can function like that. And I don't really know if there's any other jobs. Maybe like doctors have that pressure.
Right.
Like surgeons. Like this has to be your best ever.
But also like a good reminder is that at the end of the day, we're here to serve our clients, and no matter what like we feel like our best work is, they are gonna think it's the best work in the world because it's their photos. Like, as long as we are doing our absolute best for each couple, we're not... Sam literally told me this last week. He said, every wedding you're going to shoot is not going to be your next best wedding.
Yeah.
It's literally not. And it can't be. Because every single wedding is different. Like, we tell our clients this. We say, every single wedding is unique. And I capture every single wedding uniquely. And we do. Because they are unique.
Yeah, that should be the phrase that people use more, is like capturing, I don't want to say like, yes, uniquely, like capturing, like maybe I'm looking for the word authentically or something, but instead of saying like, I'm going to capture your wedding the best way possible, like I just don't think the word best is best. The best. Yeah. Like it's not, because it's not capturing, I don't think that word is like helpful for the client and the photographer to be using, because it's not going to be the best wedding, because how also are you defining what makes up the best?
Well, I would say each wedding is the best because it's their best day. It's literally their dream day. Yes, maybe it has stress, maybe it has, every single thing is flawed because we live in a fallen world. So I would argue that every single wedding day is the best day. And we, as long as we are staying true to ourselves, are capturing it in the best way.
Did you hear my stomach growl?
I did not.
Okay.
Hopefully these mics are not picking this up because we both
actually so bad.
need to go get food after this.
No, yeah. No, okay, so, like, when you're defining best that way, but you can also use other synonyms besides saying, like, the best. But it just means, like, like, one of the top experiences, one of the top memories of their life. And so they're saying the best day ever for them. But I mean, like, we're talking, like, best as in, like, the best of our creativity.
Do you tell your clients that their wedding is going to be your best work?
No.
So
I tell myself.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
That should be.
You shouldn't.
Yes, I feel like we're talking in circles.
Yeah. Because
Do you not have that pressure?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And so I was kind of like preaching to myself too. Like, and what Sam said to me was like so good to hear, is that not every single wedding is going to be your next best work. It's not.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, is like, it's not going to be your next best work ever. Mm-hmm. So the word best, but it is going to be a wedding that you capture truly to how that day was.
And a good reminder is that your clients are going to love their photos no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
If they fully trust you, if you guys have a trusting relationship, if your style is consistent with what they were looking for, and you know for sure that you guys are a good fit, no matter what, they're going to love their wedding photos because it's their wedding day.
Yeah.
And like, yes, we need to do our absolute best all the time. We need to do our best, but it's not going to always be our like best work.
Right. Like, I don't think that they love the photos because it's our best work. I think they love the photos because it captured their special moments.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, like, we are the only person who are saying what is our best work.
Yes.
And so we just need to be easy on ourselves because we're the only ones saying this. And that's what I realized from opening this self-criticism conversation on Instagram, was so many photographers, which I'm still like actually blown away in, and I'm really trying to convince and wrap my mind around it. But so many photographers were saying that, like, my work is so inspiring to them. Meanwhile, these are photographers that I've compared my work to them because I think their work is the most inspiring to me and I want my work to look like theirs, while they're literally saying that they wish their work looked like mine. We are our worst enemies in our mind. We are convinced that we are just trash, and we're not. And that's literally Satan. It's literally Satan. And just dwelling on being selfish and prideful really is what it is. We need to remove our self-criticism from ourselves because we are wedding photographers to serve our couple. First and foremost, yes, the work is so personal to us. Yes, absolutely. I'm not going to argue that. And that's what makes us unique, is that we have so much heart into our work. Like, we care so much. But at the end of the day, it's literally not about us. And so being so hard on ourselves is so unfair to us and our couples. Because then we don't love them the way that we should because we're so freaking selfish. So that's my TED Talk.
No, literally. I actually love what you said, because that actually is like so helpful. Like, I need to redefine what the word best, like, that's why I was trying to say earlier, where like, I just don't think the word best should even be in my vocabulary because it's not capturing what it should be my job to do. It's not my job to do my best. Is your stomach also growling? I didn't hear it, so hopefully the mic's this whole episode. Mine's really bad too.
It's because we've drank so much coffee and not had enough food.
Yeah.
But that's on brand for us. So
yeah. No, it is. It's just this episode's gonna be what it is, but stomach growls and tears and all.
This is a coffee talk. This is literally our coffee date.
Yeah. Yeah.
This happens. Typically, if we were at a coffee shop, we would have ordered avocado toast by now.
Yeah.
So, I have avocados and toast.
Okay, we're making some. Okay. Anywho, what were you saying?
Yeah, so that was just my TED Talk. I feel like that is really all I have to say about feeling so much pressure on ourselves to be constantly creative.
Yeah.
Stop being selfish.
I'm realizing now as we're talking about it that I need to stop using the word best because it's not a good word.
And that's literally why we are starting this podcast. Like, to encourage others and also encourage ourselves and grow, because sometimes talking through things is the best way to learn it. Like, my mom always said that teaching somebody what you know is the best way to learn it yourself.
Amen. That's like a straight up proverb.
It probably is.
So
and
true.
So I think that's like, this is so not only so good for like, hopefully our listeners, hopefully you guys who are listening, like this is also so helpful to you, but it's also so good for our hearts. Like this conversation's wrecked my world.
Yeah.
Hopefully yours too. Like,
oh yeah.
We preach to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Hard love here.
Hard love, hard truth, things we don't want to hear.
Nope.
But yeah.
And so speaking of hard truths, I think the best way to wrap this up is the reminder of how we often tell our clients to be fully in the moment, not stressed, full of joy, remove everything else besides each other. Meanwhile, we are a stress ball.
Yeah. Like in the midst of busy season and you show up for a session, you tell your client like, okay, this is how it's gonna go down. This is how this is what it's like to work in front of my camera, blah, blah, you give them the rundown of your session.
Just focus on each other.
Yes. But then like, yeah, you're not even fully in the session because you're thinking of 1,000 different things. Because we're only human and this is the way our brains work. Like,
yeah,
we do get that way where we're like.
But it's not fair to them. It really isn't.
No.
And again, like, based on the reminder we just gave ourselves, like, it's about our clients at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I don't know what, like, I don't have a solution because sometimes you can't help but book 8 engagement sessions in a week, especially with October around the corner. We all know that everyone and their mom wants photos in October.
So I think I have a few ideas and we'll all learn together this year because every single October, you're right, is like a test. And in the past, I have not done it well. I've gotten through November and been like, I have literally nothing left of me.
And sometimes that is just like, I know moms feel this way a lot where there are just seasons of busyness.
Yeah.
And especially as a photographer, if you know your December or your January is dead and October is going to be crazy, that's okay. I think the Lord is merciful to crazy busy seasons where our rhythms are messed up.
Yes. I think a few things, though, that helps combat it. No, it's never going to be perfect. No, I don't think as wedding photographers we're ever going to have an October where we're like, oh my gosh, I feel great. Like, I feel so fulfilled right now. Like, yes, we're fulfilled in, like, helping other couples, helping couples. But some things that I think are beneficial is, one, obviously, just really leaning into the Lord at this time because he's really the only one that like has all the answers. He is the water of life, the well of life. Is that what is that?
The living water.
The living water. Yes, like what he told that woman at the well is that yes, you can drink this water now and it's gonna fulfill you right now, but I am the living water, and only running to him is the solution.
Yeah, because you'll never be thirsty if you drink his water
again. Right. So that 100% is, again, back to the reminder that Jesus is truly the only answer, but also something that I practiced last fall, and it was so good for my heart, was intentionally resting. Yes. So I think it's tempting to, when you're like, I just need to veg, like, I just need to, like, do something for me, turn on Netflix, fill our brain with nonsense, doom scroll on Instagram, all the toxic things, quieting our minds and resting in a way that's actually fulfilling. So something I really got into last fall was paint by numbers.
Cute.
So fun. And I'm so excited for the winter when I can like do this again. But like I started to paint by number in September, and I didn't finish it until December because, I didn't have tons of time to work on it, but I worked on it through my busy season in the fall. And when there was a free night that Sam was playing Xbox, I could have sat at my desk and worked. I had editing to do. I could have watched a show on Netflix, but instead I chose to paint and listen to music that made me feel happy and drank a glass of wine. And it was more of an intentional, restful time for me. And each person has their different answer of what sounds like rest to them. I learned that paint by number is not for everyone. My sister started a paint by number with me, and she's like, I hate it. I'm so done. I have no capacity for this. She's also a mom of 4, so she's like, has to be very particular with her rest time. So maybe it's not paint by number for you, but finding your thing that, one, is not going to fill your mind. Like watching a show on Netflix fills your mind with nonsense. It's trash. It's trash. Scrolling through Instagram is trash. So resting with intention is, I think, a really big way to combat just the busyness, and really can set you up for success for coming to sessions with fresh inspiration and also feeling like you're living in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Preach, girl.
Classical music is huge for me. Like listening to classical music when I need something, but I can't like stand words, or like podcasts sometimes. Like I just can't. So like classical music is so good. Or like if you're more of a lo-fi person, like turn on some lo-fi and just let your brain rest. I think we're so overstimulated all the time.
Yes, I have actually, like, back when I was really trying to dig into like what rest is, how to get rest, like all that good stuff. I challenged myself to like be okay with silence too.
I love silence. That's so funny.
I hate silence. But like what you're saying though is like we are literally clouding our own minds, because like try waiting on a long line without pulling out your phone one time. You can't do it. You literally can't do it. I promise.
So true.
But like, so we're choosing to cloud our own minds and not letting ourselves like just think through our thoughts.
Yes.
Or just like think nothing at all. When's the last time you thought nothing? Me? Never. I'm always thinking. I don't know how people just straight up. I feel like I've also heard this joke, like guys versus girls, because sometimes I'll ask Caden, what are you thinking about? And he's like, literally nothing.
Sam says the same thing.
How do you do that? How do you clear your mind?
Teach me your ways. No, that's so true. Like, being bored as kids is so good for you.
Let yourself be bored.
Let yourself be bored.
That's actually rest.
Right. And to us, it seems like boring now because we're always stimulating ourselves.
Overstimulated.
Yes. But just literally sitting on the couch. Whoa.
Stare at a wall.
Yeah. Or like something I love doing is grounding, like walking around barefoot outside. Yeah. And just like, it's just such a mom word, piddle farting around.
Ew.
My mom always used to use that word. You've never heard that?
I do love being bare feet. And then taking a bird bath when you come back inside.
Oh my gosh, that's the cutest thing. I think of you every time I wash my feet. But I don't wash my feet. I just like...
You don't take a bird bath?
Not unless they're like muddy.
I take a bird bath. I took a bird bath the other day because I was outside in bare feet. Yeah. But no, yeah, that's so true. No, yeah, let yourself be bored, I think that's something I've been trying to work on a lot.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And it's hard. Like, I think that's the hardest thing about like trying to implement new restful rhythms is that they are so uncomfy at first. Like being off your phone, being off Instagram is like, or like, maybe this is a symptom of burnout. When you are resting, it's like all you think about is the work you should be doing.
Yes.
And you can't rest because you're like, I'm actually just more anxious now. That's a reality.
That was literally me. So getting my tattoo the other day, I literally got a tattoo so that that was like my form of self-care. Like that's what got me through June. I'm like, I'm getting a tattoo for myself. This is my like, you made it, Lindsay. I sat in the chair for 5 hours because she's very detailed. Long time. And I was anxious the whole entire time.
Yes. Which is the biggest reveal that like you have a productivity idol.
Right.
But it's also like that's just such a huge symptom of burnout too though, is like you're not resting enough when you know. And that's I'm literally the same way. Well, I'm like trying to take a break and all I'm thinking about is what I'm putting off and I'm not doing that I could be doing, and it's like I can't rest.
Burnout and having productivity be an idol is literally the same exact thing. Yeah. It just sounds less harsh when we say it's burnout because it sounds like it's not our fault.
No, we sound like we're a victim.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just burnout.
So it's easy to like make excuses for yourself. Oh, I'm burnout. This is literally our fault. We, as small business owners, run our schedule.
which is the most convicting part. That was so convicting when I would like tell my college students that I was like, I am busier as a business owner than when I like worked for a boss, which is like,
it's convicting.
Literally, why did I do this?
Right, because
I should have more freedom.
At least I became a wedding photographer and wanted to work for myself so that I could have control of my schedule.
Yeah.
And so I could not work sometimes. And now I'm here like losing my hair because I'm working so much.
Yep. And then feeling horrible when you're not.
Yep. So I think having productivity, we should stop calling it burnout. And we should have a new little tagline for it that I can't think of right now.
Something that sounds like like a smack to the face.
Yeah.
We'll think of a word.
Worshipping productivity.
Yeah. I am worshiping productivity right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I was actually just reading First Kings about King Solomon, how like he built the temple for the Lord, and the Lord said that he would give him peace in his land as long as Solomon only worships God. And Solomon's like, cool, sounds good. That's easy peasy. Like, you have my whole heart. Years went by, and he got distracted, and he started worshiping other gods. And it can be easy to be like, oh my gosh, why did you do that? Like, come on, dude. Like, you had one job. Meanwhile, we are literally worshiping productivity, being busy, really putting ourselves in front of God as an idol.
That's why whenever people are like, it would just be so much easier to follow Jesus if you're just here with me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bro, did you read a single story with the disciples? Like, they were so unfaithful. Like, I promise you that's not the problem. Right. The problem is that we have hearts that go astray all the time.
All the time. And what's interesting about this story with Solomon, and what's really cool, and a good reminder and a good way to even just like wrap this up, is what he told Solomon is that my peace will be with you and your country when you are only worshiping me. And the day that you stop worshiping me, my peace leaves. And that's literally what happened. Solomon started worshiping other gods, and the Lord's hand left Israel, and they got invaded. Well, actually, he waited until Solomon died. He had grace for Solomon. But literally, like, that's a reminder for us. He promises so much goodness for us. He promises so much blessing for us small business owners. He promises everything for us. All he wants is for us to only worship him. We have to tie ourselves to the Lord, and that's really the only answer. We'll get his, like, abundance peace. His peace never ends. His blessings and provision never end. Like, literally the water of life. But all it takes is us tying ourselves to him.
Yeah. Preach. Oh my gosh.
I'm preaching to myself too. I'm surprised I'm not crying right now. Don't look at me.
So good though. So good. Such a good reminder. It's always like so encouraging to hear truth like that though. I'm like,
yeah.
So thankful for you, Lindsay.
I'm so thankful for you, and we each have to like listen to this episode every single Monday morning. Before we start our week. This, I'm sure, like, I think podcast episodes on creativity and burnout is very common. Very common. So if you see this title and you're like, oh, okay, I've heard this before.
No, you haven't.
Probably not.
Have you ever heard anyone cry on their podcast?
I personally haven't. We are not put together. You get our stomach growls, you get our tears, and you get us like really literally calling each other out.
Yeah, but what better friendship is there than that?
Nothing.
Hunger, tears,
pointing each other to Jesus. Yeah, that's really what it's about.
You have a... Sorry.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
And on that note...
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope this is really encouraging to you.
See you guys next week.